All right. So, Franklin, thank you very much for joining us today, evening your time, obviously, in Cameroon's capital, Yaoundé. You are looking at the political situation in Cameroon at the moment. It appears that former information minister who moved on, resigned from the current government, appears to be doing well in the polls. What is accounting for Issa Chiroma Bakary's appearance of rising or success ahead of the elections?
Peter, I wouldn't call it success yet. Success is when it happens. But I must say that it's a curiosity. It's a curiosity to see what is happening on the campaign trail right now in this country. You would expect anybody to have any kinds of fortunes on the political race. But I don't want to be too certain to say that least expected of Issa Chiroma Bakary. And when I say this as someone in this country. I say this as a journalist who's covered that minister, the former minister of communications, spokesman of the government's apologist, this very government that the crowds are following him to shame and challenge. He was the government's apologist, the one telling every good story about every bad thing people thought the government was doing, especially the Anglophone population who felt terribly offended. Never mind, I'm at the roadside. It's really dark now in Yaoundé. You can see, see little behind me. I'm on the roadside to be able to be lighted. Issa Chiroma Bakary was the one who, when the Anglophone struggle started, he was one of those who were in denial. He even refused that the soldiers were shooting at all. We've seen all kinds of ridiculous interviews given by Issa Chiroma Bakary. And just when everyone thought that it was the end of his political career, here he is. The race is open. He resigned. Within a week of his resignation, he was pulling crowds all over the place, especially back home in the north where he comes from. I think it is a political
Franklin, let me
miracle.
ask you this. Is it because Cameroonians, as I am told, are desperate for change? The reason why he appears to be gaining popularity? Because the CPDM, the ruling party, as you know, has dominated Cameroonian politics since the early 1980s when President Paul Biya became the president.
Please take it again. I lost you for a few seconds.
My question is, what is making him this popular, especially when he resigned from the ruling party? Is it because Cameroonians are overwhelmingly demanding for change? The reason why he's gaining popularity, because there are other opposition political party leaders and they seem not to be gaining traction as Issa Chiroma Bakary. Is it name recognition? What is it?
I think the first thing is that he's stepping into the shoes of the main opposition leader, Maurice Kamto, who was disqualified. And this is coming at a time when there wasn't a serious second in terms of having a political army around the country. No, first of all, he's stepping into the shoes of Maurice Kamto, who was disqualified. There hasn't been a strong second opposition candidate. The most serious opposition party before Maurice Kamto emerged has been in decline. That is the Social Democratic Front. It is under reconstruction. Only months ago, the party dismissed most of its old henchmen, and so it is a party under reconstruction. So there is no real opposition party at the time that Issa Chiroma and Bello Buba quit the government. But I think the main factor now is that the northern population is huge. The president and his party have been garnering tons of votes from the northern regions. And Chiroma and Bello Buba come from that area. So until now, it's been like orphaned children, the northern voters. And now they have their own candidates in the race and they are amassing around them. Now you'd think that, okay, those are northern voters. So why is he also having an impact in the south? As I say again, Maurice Kamto would have been the person to occupy that space and maybe also try to cut into the north, but he was disqualified. And so the northern base, I think, has been the advantage of Issa Chiroma. But then you want to ask me, then what about Berobuba Maigari, who is a former prime minister, who is more of the political godson of the former president Amadou Ahidjo? I think that Chiroma has the advantage there. First of all, you know that one thing in politics is visibility. And I think the position of government spokesman gave Chiroma a lot of visibility. People might not have liked what he was saying, but I can remember that when he left that position and a new gentleman, Rene Sadi, came to that position, he doesn't communicate a lot, he doesn't talk a lot, he's a more decent person. People began to miss Chiroma. And so you ask, is this not some kind of Stockholm syndrome? I would think so. You know, in Liberia in the early 90s, I know there was a slogan: Charles Taylor, kill my mama. Charles Taylor, kill my papa. I vote Charles Taylor. There are just some people just like their personality, even when it's not pleasant, but it becomes so notorious that they begin to like it. It's a curiosity.
Let me ask you this
politics.
question, Franklin. Let me ask you this question. Do you think the youth who are demanding change, saying that President Paul Biya has been there for too long and has nothing new to deliver, would have their hopes dashed? Because there seems to be a new air surrounding what is going on, but people are saying the CPDM has dominated Cameroon politics and they have all the tricks under their sleeves to pull this one again. What are you looking at? Look at the crystal ball and tell me what is going on in Cameroon.
I wish my glasses could look through the crystal ball. I am not that lucky. But I think that, yeah, the ruling party has all the advantages, the state machinery, electoral officials appointed by the government, the Constitutional Council that proclaims the results are appointed by the government. This administration that has indirect or sometimes direct control over the election is all in the hands of the administration. They have the means, are using public service vehicles to go around campaigning. The party is implanted all over the country, whether people love them or not, at least they are there. But I think that the people, look, for the first time in this country, we are seeing militants of that party being harassed by opposition militants, and we began to see that in the north. We saw that in Bamenda today, where the young candidate Cabral Libi went to campaign, and we have pictures of a militant being molested by people we are not seeing. We hope they are not gunmen. Maybe they're just civilians who are punishing him for supporting the wrong side. I think that the age of the president and the signs within the government that the government is broken, and that within the government itself, if the president should win another term, it will be total chaos, because the factions within the government are fighting and are pulling out their knives. We have seen signs of it during the consultations when the Secretary General at the presidency, the Chief of Staff at the presidency, invited delegations from each of the regions. Some of the quarrels that we heard were quarrels among members of government. Cameroonians know that Mr. Biya is not in charge of this government. They know that third parties are trying to use his face, and we have seen more of campaigns with his photos, and people believe that someone else wants to win a term in office in his name, and maybe stage a palace coup or just use him as a proxy while they run the country. Cameroonians are aware. The first thing Mr. Chiroma said when he left the government, he said Mr. Biya is no longer in charge. And I think the vast majority of Cameroonians believe that is true, and that's why Cameroonians, at least this time, think there will be change. The question has been, who will be the apostle or the leader of that change? And it looks like Mr. Chiroma is cutting into that space.
But do you think he will deliver that change that Cameroonians are yearning for? Because this is not the first time Cameroonians have said we want change since 1980s. And Paul Biya, the current president who has remained president since the early 80s, keeps on winning elections after elections. So what is new this time around? Sometimes political parties are, divided. There's no strong opposition, as you would say. There are splinter groups. SDF, Maurice Kamto has been disqualified from campaigning. Of course, Issa Chiroma, who was a darling of the government, is now leading the opposition. But do you think they have enough to, to surmount the dominance that the CPDM poses?
This election, at the beginning of this process, a group of civil society actors, including journalists like us, worked out a plan, a profile for the next president. We put out something called, that's Canvi Cameroon New Vision, with a senior colleague, Eric Chinje, that you may know. He used to work at the World Bank, used to be the pioneer editor-in-chief at Cameroon Television. We pulled out a profile for the new president. We also pulled out a job description, which we called for the new CEO of Cameroon. And we thought that this election should be an election of issues, an election of people, someone we think has the profile for this job. What we see happening now is something that looks like a referendum. People are looking out for just who can shake up this regime. And that is why I say that the huge numbers that people began to see in the northern regions when Chiroma and Bello Buba went back home, it triggered the hope that if these numbers up north can swing to the opposition, where people know they've been going to the ruling party, maybe these are the candidates that should be followed. So it became a matter of between Bello Buba Maigari and Chiroma. And somehow it looks like Chiroma took the upper hand. And I will tell you, the question has been, why Chiroma, why not Bello? And I say again that Chiroma has had more visibility as Minister of Post and Telecommunications, as Minister of tourism right now. Mr. Bello Buba is a very quiet person, very reserved. He doesn't get a lot of visibility, but communication gave Chiroma a lot of visibility. But let me also say this. If it's a matter of people feeling someone, I think over the years, the people have felt Chiroma. That is even between the time he left the government in the early 90s up to the mid-90s and the time he returned to the government in the late 2000s. When there was a northern memorandum in the early 2000s where the northern elites led the people to protest and say we have been abandoned, Chiroma was in the trenches with the people. I am not saying that he was in the trenches with the people. So I think that in fighting for the people, the northerners have seen Issa Chiroma more than Bello Buba Maigari. When the opposition was trying to have a coalition in the 2004 elections with John Frundi, Adamunda Mjoya, and the rest, Chiroma was with them in the trenches. Bello Buba was not with them. Bello has not really been seen as an opposition leader throughout his career, though he was an early top-notcher in the government. At 35, he was prime minister, but he hasn't really been seen on the side of the people. But let me also say something about why Anglophones are surprisingly not rejecting Chiroma. I don't know whether they know this, but this is what I know. In just the year he became minister, back when he returned to the government, we, the Association of English Language Journalists, pay him a courtesy call in his office. And he said to us in his office, look, I like you Anglophones. The fight you're fighting, if I were an Anglophone, I would be more brutal than what you people are doing. This is something people do not know about Mr. Chiroma, that when he went into government, a lot of people thought that it meant he had swallowed the government policy line, hook, and sinker. But when you see his attitude, you can tell he was just playing his game. People say that is a negative point about him, that he changes like a chameleon. But I think there is a sincerity in something about him, that he is a fighter. And it shows right now on the campaign trail.
Thank you very much, Franklin, for speaking with us today. We'll continue with this conversation at a later date, but we wish Cameroonians the best of luck as they go to the polls in a few days or perhaps 2 weeks from now, and may the best side win. We'll continue with this conversation another time, Franklin. Enjoy your evening.
Pleasure, Peter.